Hello and welcome to Clear Picture Cares, where we shine a spotlight on incredible nonprofits and charities making a difference in our community. With me today, I have Kristin Parker, and she is the founder and co-owner, right, of Shared Cities.
Sure.
Okay, so let's just get into, you identified there was two main problems that you were seeing here in the Low Country, and that's what prompted you to create Shared Cities. But what were those two main problems?
The two main problems that we saw in among the charitable work specifically in Charleston, but I'm sure it spreads all throughout the Low Country and throughout the state, maybe throughout the nation, is that among the people that are contributing to charitable work, whether it be grassroots nonprofit leaders, established nonprofits, donors, volunteers, businesses, we just saw a lack of disconnection. Actually, not a lack of disconnection. We saw a lot of disconnection, and people were working in silos. And that's just a big problem because it means that we're not utilizing the resources that are available to us in the best way. And so we saw that as a major problem for a lot of reasons. And then the second problem that we saw was that people kind of on all parts of the equation, again, some of the same people that I just mentioned, community led leaders like grassroots leaders, volunteers, people wanted to know how to do what they were passionate about better, but they didn't necessarily feel equipped to do so. So maybe they had wanted to start a nonprofit, but they didn't know how, or they didn't have the network or the resources to do so well. Or they were a business that wanted to give back in very specific ways instead of just going down to a soup kitchen or something, which is not bad at all. But instead of just doing that, they wanted opportunities to use their skills and the things that they have for the good of the city. And so we noticed that they needed ways and opportunities to do that. And so we noticed that the two main problems were that people were disconnected and that people were not, didn't feel necessarily equipped to carry out the thing that they wanted to in the community.
So creating Shared City, what is the work that your organization does to help with those two main problems?
Yeah, so we decided to create Shared City as a nonprofit. We established it as a nonprofit instead of establishing it as a for-profit because we knew that we wanted to provide accessible training to everyone that needed it. So whether you're a community member that lives in a marginalized community and you yourself don't have a ton of access to resources, but you have a passion to serve the community, or you're a volunteer who doesn't have a ton of time to give, but wants to give give certain amounts of time every month away. We wanted to provide accessible, relational, and attainable opportunities to do so. So we created ourselves as a nonprofit, and the things that we do right now are we offer different trainings. And then through those trainings, we believe in the power of building relationships. We actually think that relationships are absent in a lot of our charitable efforts. It's much more transactional. So we've created trainings and we've created opportunities to build relationships across sectors, across racial divides, across like different socioeconomic classes.
Okay.
And that comes through, like I said, the different trainings that we offer and the different events that we host.
So what's the website that people could go to like learn more and see some of those trainings?
Yeah, our website is www.sharedcitychs.org.
Okay. And so okay, I'm just going through scenarios in my mind.
Sure.
So I have experience with finance, let's say, okay, and I want to provide that talent to a local nonprofit, but I really don't know the route to go or how to do it. That's where I will go to Shared City.
Sure.
And then I could go through training and start, and you guys will also help with like connecting me?
Absolutely. Exactly. So that's a great example. So thank you for doing that. So yes, so we have the training programs that we've already rolled out are a training for nonprofit leaders specifically. And this is like community-led meaning people from a local community that want to impact their local community. And they have either started a nonprofit or they want to start a nonprofit. So we've started a class called the Nonprofit Learning Lab. And I'll get to the answer to your question, but I got to give this background real quick.
Yeah, give us the background.
We have this class, and it's a 7-week class where, and we we bring in professionals from the community. So this is one way we can get you involved. We bring in professionals from the community to teach each one of those classes on how to write an impact plan, which is basically like a mini business plan, but we really focus on the mission that the organization is trying to meet instead of focusing first on revenue. We focus first on what's the mission that you're trying to accomplish. Of course, revenue is a part of it. How much money do you need? How are you going to get that money? But that's an impact plan. We teach classes on legal essentials and compliance. We teach classes on finance, budgeting, marketing, and goal setting. And so through that, there's ways we need people from the community to get involved and be teachers for that. So that's one way. But through that learning lab, we get to know these people who are passionate and who are either starting a nonprofit or have started a nonprofit. And then after they complete that class and that cohort, we invite them to come to what we call our Impact Essentials coaching program. For some people, it could take 2 months. For some, it could take a year or more. But we really want to make nonprofit training accessible, and coaching accessible to people who normally wouldn't be able to afford it. We coach them through, now that they've learned these things in the learning lab, then we coach them through actually going through step by step and doing that. That's why for some people, it might take 2 months. For some people, it might take a year because they're further along. Through that, we're actually able to build a vetting process for small nonprofits in our city. Okay. We're able to say, like, these are people who want to learn, who maybe they don't have some of them do, some of them don't, but maybe they do or don't have a big network and people don't know who they are at this point and things like that. But Shared City is walking through this process with them. They're proving accountable. So through that process, we're wanting to vet more and more of these small nonprofits that are working really in our communities in some really strategic places and with strategic important things like that they're doing for our city. And so then, to your point, we also offer trainings for volunteers. We have a training that is called a Community Impact Workshop. Okay. And the Community Impact Workshop, it's best practices for volunteering. So during that time, in those, we have 3-hour workshops right now. We can come to your business and do this for your employees. We have them. Our first one that's on our schedule right now is not till January, but before that, we can come to you. And so during that time, we teach about like what truly is poverty. Why is relationship so important in the charitable equation? How do we do cross-cultural work well across racial divides, across different socioeconomic classes, even within our own city. Mm-hmm. So we teach those things. And then what we're hoping to do, and what we've done on a small scale, but we're really trying to expand this citywide, is we want to take the people that are being trained, like you said, if you're a person in finance and you come through our best practices in volunteering, and we train you in that. And during that time, you're trained in those foundational community impact essentials. But then you tell us, I'm in finance. I really would love for my business or for me personally to be involved X number of hours doing this type of thing. Then what we would do is those people that are coming through our coaching program and those organizations that are coming through our coaching program and our learning lab, then we're hoping, like I said, we're already doing this on a small scale, but what we want to do this on a big scale is to connect those two groups of people on a hyper-local level to say, here's a group of like an organization that's working in North Charleston, specifically in the Wayland community, mm-hmm. and they're focused on childhood literacy, and they're proving accountable, and they're proving like their work is really impactful, and they need help because they need help with expanding their budget and figuring out how to do that well and making sure their finances are well taken care of. And we would connect them with you in that scenario, and we're hoping that on a hyper-local level is going to allow us to share our city.
I love it. So let me kind of like repeat back what I picked up.
Please.
So you have programs for those who are leading community efforts.
Correct.
But then you also have programs for someone who has time and talent, mm-hmm. that wants to donate that time and talent to a charity, but they don't know what's charity or how mm-hmm. to. They could also go to Shared City, and Shared City will then focus on their development, but then also connection with the development that you also provided the community leader.
Correct.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got that right. And so through that, we're just hoping to strengthen the whole charitable equation in our city. Because you think about so much like when you have, even just in one business, when you have strong leaders and they're connected and they're thinking in this, similar ways, and they have they're sharing goals and objectives, you move your business forward.
Mm-hmm.
If we can do that on a city level, we'll move Charleston's charitable needle forward. We'll move the poverty needle forward, not because we're dumping more money and resources, although there's definitely a time and place for that, but because we're dumping people and relationships and skills and knowledge together and putting people together who are thinking similarly and want to share the skills that they have to bring about a thriving Charleston.
And so this is about Shared City, this conversation, but Clear Picture Cares came out because we saw a need to create awareness, educate our valued listeners, and even help get them engaged within the community. Mm-hmm. So, maybe I should have went through your course before I started the podcast, but it was okay, I already do podcasts. I was on the radio. Mm-hmm. Let me use the platform that I already created to help those who are still looking to create their platform and share what they're doing. Because there are, I would say, silos that I even see where they're very niche into their community outreach, and what they're doing is extremely impactful to that group, that niche. However, I may interview 6 months later another group who's doing something similar, and they have no idea that each other exists, where they could share best practices and ideas and be able to take both of their nonprofits and charities to another level just by working with someone. And it's isolation. Right. And I don't think it's done with purpose and intention. It's just they're so narrowly focused and impassioned about what they are doing that they aren't taking their head up, taking a look around and seeing what's going on. I want to kind of brag about you. Okay, low-key brag now. So I'm joining the Rotary Historic Charleston, and I invited you to come out. And you're hearing Kristin going into getting connections and meeting people. I don't think you didn't shake us. I think you shake every single person's hand. And she's introducing me to people that, right? I just love that that fire that you have and that passion that you have. I got to see it firsthand when you came to the Rotary Club. But I think you also have a very interesting story that I think will be cool for people to hear about the work that you did before you came to Charleston. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, sure. So I lived in Kathmandu, Nepal, which is north of India, south of China. Most of you, even if you're oh, I don't know where that is, you actually do know where it is, because it's where Mount Everest is, the tallest mountain in the world. And so I lived there for 13 years with my family. After grad school, my husband and I moved there, and we raised our 2 children there. And like I said, lived there for 13 years, moved back in 2018 after my father and my husband's father passed away suddenly, and that caused us to move back to the States. But that experience, it was 13 years of my life. So it wasn't a trip. It was my life for 13 years. And that experience profoundly changed me. And I went to Nepal with this idea. We went there for community development. We went there to impact people, to show the love of God, and to really give back to the community and to help them. It's a poverty-ridden country. And I went and I thought, I am going to solve these people's problems. And I quickly learned through a lot of mistakes and things that the people were amazing. I mean, they were amazing. Their culture was rich. The way that they saw the world was fascinating. And yes, they needed help in certain areas. They wanted help in certain areas, but they didn't need help with everything. And they actually really had some really great ideas that were very different from my own for what would make their community thrive. And so it took several years and a lot of building relationships. And that's what I really know is so valuable here. Way more than the trainings that we offer. The trainings are a pathway to relationship. The connections are pathways to relationship. And I realized that building that relationship and building that trust, which that's huge, especially when you're crossing different demographics, building that trust was vital. But once I built that trust and took the time and spent the time with the relationships, the way that we were able to work together to really bring about community development for them was amazing. And a lot of that was just what I noticed, and what I did was I invested in local community leaders. And I knew that one day, whether it was going to be in 5 years or 50 years, I would not live in Kathmandu, Nepal, but they would. Mm-hmm. And their families would. And so it switched from what can I do for them to how can I empower them so that whatever we start might start because of my prompting, but it will continue because of them. And that I learned that in so many ways, helped people start small businesses there. Could talk about that for a long time, but since our time is short, just to say that time like deeply changed me in the way that I think about community development and the way I think about impacting people's lives. So when I came back here to Charleston and I saw like that lack of connection, and I saw like so many resources that they don't have in Nepal. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and so many people that wanted to help. And I saw that lack of connection, and I saw that lack of equipping where people wanted to learn, but they just didn't have the access to learn for so many reasons. I was like, we could do this differently in Charleston. And if we develop leaders and if we strengthen people and if we connect them together, then we're going to make lasting change in the community that will outlast any nonprofit or any one person, because it will become like the fabric of our city.
I love how you're taking the knowledge, the wisdom and experience that mm-hmm. you've acquired being in a foreign country, working in a different culture, coming back, and then using that here mm-hmm. in Charleston with Shared City. Yeah. Can you share with us a success story? Any story sure. of I'm thinking like a local nonprofit yeah. leader, and you could change the names to protect innocence.
Well, no, I would love to, because that's one of the things I do is I get to advocate for these guys.
Advocate right here, right there. We're going to advocate.
So I get to
share this. I want to hear this awesome story.
Yeah. So I actually made mention of them a little bit earlier, but there's a group here, a couple actually. Their names are Carlos and Carla DeVoe, and they have just incredible stories. Carlos was raised here in Charleston and has just a lot of things that he's done well, and things he wishes he'd have done different in his life. But his life's passion now is to give back to his own community, to the people that, to the youth, specifically the youth and the children of the community. So we met them and learned of their passion to help kids with childhood literacy right here in North Charleston. And the name of their organization is Representation Matters Foundation. And when we met them, they were doing already great work. They had a lot of things lined up. They had a lot of things going, but I found out that they were giving away children's books at lots of events, and they were hosting book clubs and things like that. But every single book that they gave out, they were paying for out of their own pocket.
That's their passion.
Is their passion.
They're like, I know I want to do this.
Yeah.
I know to buy and do that.
Right.
But could there be a different or a better way?
Sure. And so they were doing a lot on their own. They have a big vision, but they were doing a lot on their own. And they both work full time. This is what they do, like to serve their community. And so we invited them to come to the Learning Lab. And they came to the Learning Lab and they soaked it all in, and they just were like amazed at just the things that they learned. They were able to tweak their organization to make the foundation stronger. We connected them with an accountant in the community that wanted to give back, who's now become one of their board members. And they have been able to expand their services, because now with support, they were having to like turn down events because people would say, come to our event, come do this. And they couldn't, because they couldn't fund it.
It just breaks their heart.
Yeah.
They want to be there.
And they're the ones that should be there.
Yeah.
Like they should be there. I'm not saying we shouldn't come and help them, but they should be there. They're from the community. They want to be a part of this. They want to see these youth thrive. They want to see these youth, and specifically Black children, African-American children, they want them to see themselves in these books that they read, so that they can see themselves excelling, and they can learn to read, and they can just achieve their dreams. Anyway, so when we found this out, of course, we wanted to invest in them. We found this accountant that could help them. We took them through our training. They're now in our Impact Essentials coaching program.
Awesome.
And just did a big event with them last week where they restored. They work with this guy named, his business is called the Godfather of Soul, SOLE.
That's a great name.
Restores like shoes. like Jordans and stuff.
Oh,
so they
okay.
received over 200 pairs of used like Jordans, really nice shoes that kids want to wear.
I love the wordplay with souls and souls.
And the Godfather of Soul restored 200
That's
pairs
incredible.
of shoes. And they gave away these shoes right here in North Charleston. But so few people, besides just the community, knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got the privilege to go. And so they're just thriving, but they need more support. Like they need people to get behind them to buy children's books and things. And I know there's people that want to do that. And so that's why we want to bring Shared City here, because I want to connect the people that want to provide children's books with these guys that are doing it.
I'm loving these stories. So I have just two more questions before we wrap up. So the first question I have is, okay, I'm not a community leader. I don't have time or talent, let's say, but I have some finances and I want to sponsor a nonprofit to go through a course. Is that something I'm able to do?
Absolutely. We welcome that. We need that. So in order to provide this service to our city, Shared City needs funding. And we're hoping that when we're fully funded, then we can really intensely direct our focus to these small organizations. And so the faster that we're able to get funded and get people behind us that see the value of this, the more we're going to be able to invest in these leaders. So yes, there's one, just like a donation to Shared City helps to do all these things that we're talking about, provide these trainings, because the trainings themselves are high level professional trainings, but we do charge the community leaders a fee, but we charge a very nominal fee. We believe that when people have an investment, it's important to them. So yes, but we have a summer fundraising campaign that is going on, and then that will continue into the fall, about supporting a community leader to go through our training. And that's either $100 a month or $1,200 will support one leader to go through that training.
Where can people go to learn more?
Yeah, they can go to our website, www.sharedcitychs.org.
Okay. Last question.
Yeah.
I promise. And then
This
it'll be
is
others
great.
off camera.
I'm good. Yeah.
Share with our listeners what you have found with the importance of giving back to the community. What would that impression be that you would want to share with us?
Giving back, whether you are no matter who you are, whether you're a person of a lot of means or not, everyone has something to give. And I think that's the thing, like, that I want people to know. And that's this idea of Shared City. It's like, what is in your hands right now that you could put on the table? Because the very thing that's in your hands that you put on the table is the very thing that someone else in our city says, that's what I need. And then the thing that someone else puts on the table is the very thing that you need. And together, if we're open-handed and we say, like, this is what I have to give, we will be changed. Like, giving affects us. Like, giving makes us better, stronger. It's just great. Like, there's really no greater feeling than it's truly better to give than to receive. And so I would just encourage that everyone has something to give. You all have something to give, and don't like, it doesn't have to be millions of dollars. It could literally be the fact that you're a good baker and you can bake cookies for this event and for all these little kids. Anything that you have, whatever your skills are, whatever your talents are, they can be used for the good of our city, and Shared City wants to help you do that.
Well, it's one of my favorite questions that I ask in this podcast, because the answers I hear are absolutely incredible and amazing every single time. And for those that are watching and listening right now, you just listened to Kristin Parker drop some amazing knowledge and experience over not just Shared City, but also the importance of giving back. So think about this as we wrap up. What do you have in your hand that you could put on the table? What is that? Is it time? Is it your talent? Is it your passion? Is it your treasures? Is it your finances? What is it? What do you have in your hand that you could do that? If you're sitting here and you're going, man, there's a lot of stuff wrong with our community, think back look in the mirror, right? And just go, what do I have in my hands that I could be able to give to the community? And then I'm telling you, you see the passion and just the joy just coming and oozing through the TV and the camera. And then I get to sit next to you, and it's contagious enthusiasm. and you're surrounded with people like that, it just creates an environment that you want to be a part of and a tribe that you want to be a part of. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing more success stories coming out of Shared City.
Great. Thank you so much.